Might you be Sir Eugene Lionheart?
Yes, that's me.
My name is Hera, and I am a wizard of the Red Tower of Magic. The Tower Master is waiting upstairs. He planned to be here to greet you personally, but a small problem cropped up that's keeping him occupied.
There seems to have been some sort of accident.
This is rather common among the different types of magic. Summoning magic, it has the highest risk of failure.
This is just going too far. It looks like we really have a couple amazing geniuses on our hands. Just how on earth, did you all manage to summon a shadow beast from a circle meant to summon a lava shark? What do you think would have happened had the shadow beast got loose? A shadow beast only desires destruction. Over 100 people could have died before it was caught.
We are so sorry.
Pack your bags and leave immediately.
As Larian descended to the ground, he gave Eugene a broad smile.
It's been a long time, Eugene. You've grown a lot. To be honest, I almost didn't recognize you.
Master Larian, you haven't changed at all.
Well, so what? It's just because I'm holding on to my youth with my magic. After all, isn't it better to have a youthful appearance than an aged one?
Although Larian seems different from when Eugene saw him 4 years ago, Eugene was unable to sense mana back then. However, now that Eugene had met Larian once more, he now knew for sure. Larian was strong, but it looks like he has a long way to go before reaching Sienna's level.
I've heard the news from Gilead. So, you are interested in magic?
Yes, sir.
Magic is an extremely engaging field of study, although it's just as difficult to learn as it is interesting. But if it's you, Eugene, you should be able to do well.
Larian could feel a presence from behind the closed door that barred the entrance to the tower's first floor. He felt uncomfortable with how this presence was lingering there, not daring to open the door. Larian shot the door a glance. It was Iode Lionheart. That fucking bastard. Eugene's eyes began to burn with an inner fire as he looked at Iode. He's bragging about how he's regularly getting his life force sucked away by succubi.
Shouldn't you at least come out to greet your younger brother?
I'm not quite sure what I should say.
It's nice to meet you, big brother. Let's get along well from now on.
Eugene put some force into his voice as he glared at Iode.
All right.
What do you even think you're doing? If you have nothing else to do, go upstairs and at least read a book.
Yes, sir.
If it hadn't been a request from his old friend Gilead, Larian would have never allowed Iode to remain in his tower.
Really now. Please accept my regrets for showing you such shameful sights as soon as you've arrived.
Don't worry, it's fine.
So I've heard from Gilead that you are unwilling to receive personal lessons in magic from me.
It's just that I don't want to burden you unnecessarily, head wizard. Also, if I learn magic from Master Larian, many people will look at the Lionheart clan with dissatisfaction. So, for the time being, I would like to study the field of magic on my own.
Very well. Then let's do it like that. Unless you asked me to, Eugene, I will not interfere with your studies. However, if you ever need help, feel free to ask Hera for assistance at any time.
Yes, thank you.
Just stay in the tower. It might not be as luxurious as the main family's mansion, but it's an adequate place to live.
If that's the case, would it be all right if I take a look at the library first?
It had already been a month since he had come to the Red Tower of Magic. Without skipping a single day, Eugene had visited the library daily. He was in the library from early in the morning and only returned to his room when it was late at night. He wasn't just spending all his time on magic. He woke up a few hours before he needed to head to the library each day to train his mana, and before going to sleep, he worked out. Sienna's system was based on the Circle's system of magic. This system involved guiding the mana inside the body into a circular flow, and then allowing this flow to draw out the mana from within the body when a spell was cast. When the amount of mana controlled exceeded what a single circle could handle, the number of circles increased, and these circles were able to overlap with each other. In just a month, he had read all the books of magic that were stored in the Red Tower of Magic's library, although I'm still only at the theory level for now. While this had filled in the holes in his knowledge, he had yet to properly begin practicing magic.
I expect that you're going to be attempting to use the Circle's magic formula, correct?
Yep. The circles have proven to be the most effective and logical system of magic. I'm considering trying to change things up a bit.
You're going to make some changes? It doesn't seem like a good idea. So Eugene, you haven't even taken your first steps into magic yet. Wouldn't it be better to start with the orthodox method first and then study how to adapt the circles after you've reached a certain level?
I'm planning on combining the circles with the Lionheart's mana formula.
Sir Eugene, the mana system used for martial arts and the mana system used for magic are two different paths.
Hera was genuinely concerned for Eugene. If he ran out of mana during the attempt, then the magic formula could collapse within him. This could result in him being unable to use mana for the rest of his life or even death.
That's why I'd like to test combining the two systems. It won't be all that dangerous.
Hera finally conceded.
For now, why don't you give it a shot? However, if the mana flow seems dangerous, I will be ready to intervene immediately. If you get injured, Sir Eugene, it won't just be me who gets in trouble. The Tower Master will also find himself in a precarious position.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be starting now.
The white flame formula guided mana into the stars around his heart. The circles guided mana into a circular flow.
I just have to try and apply them together.
The circles can be replaced with the stars. The resonance between the stars can amplify the mana. Depending on the situation, I'll have to make instantaneous adjustments to the mana. It'll be a pain if he mispredicts it and makes a mistake. Not only could she feel how pure the mana that Eugene had drawn out from his core was, but she could also tell how powerful it was. So this was the descendant of the Great Vermouth, the man known as the God of War and the Master of all. How could a 17-year-old youth like Eugene possibly draw out vast quantities of mana?
No way.
From the first circle's basic spell, the Fireball, it had been converted into another first circle spell, the Magic Missile. Hera, who had been watching all this with dazed eyes, said,
You are amazing.
Please summon a monster for me. I'd like to check the power of my spell.
Then, are you fine with a golem? This golem is made from carbrium. Even without it using any defensive techniques, any attacks against it will have their forces scattered on impact.
Sounds great.
So you're saying that young Eugene used the core of the white flame formula as a circle and used it to cast magic?
Yes, sir. The purity and density of his mana were absurd, so much so that it was hard to believe that he was just a novice wizard. No matter what type of magic he could have chosen to cast, the power of his offensive spell would probably be greater than that of a third circle wizard.
He was able to substitute the mana from a circle with that of the white flame formula all on his own. That was a monstrous level of talent, to the point where Larian actually felt fear instead of admiration. Is the white flame formula just that special? At a guess, does the third star of the white flame formula correspond to a third circle wizard?
Did you say that Eugene has gone out? Do you think it would seem absurd for me to write a letter of recommendation requesting Eugene's entry into Acran?
Aroth's Royal Library, Acran. Only a few high-ranking wizards of the Towers of Magic, nobles of high status, and members of royalty were allowed entry into that place.
I don't think it would be too unreasonable. I believe that he deserves the opportunity. Eugene was able to use magic after only reading introductory texts on magic for a month, and the spell that he cast pierced a hole through the armor of a carbrium golem. That's why I've decided to write Eugene a letter of recommendation. It's definitely not unreasonable. If he really is a monster of such talent, he should receive the appropriate treatment.
I'm afraid that the other wizards might be dissatisfied by this.
If they're still dissatisfied once they know the truth, that just means that they're refusing to acknowledge the facts and are blinded by their jealousy. By the way, what sort of appointment did Eugene leave to attend? There shouldn't be anyone he's familiar with in Aroth.
He said he was going out to meet a friend.
A friend?
Larian tilted his heat and curiosity as he stamped his seal onto the letter of recommendation. Meriden Square, in front of the Green Tower of Magic. The statue's face had a confident smile. Eugene recognized that face. Sienna used to put on such an expression whenever she had managed to accomplish something great with her magic and turned to look at him smugly.
Is that really you, Eugene?
Garith?
Yes, it's me, Garith Lionheart. Have you already forgotten my name?
It's not that I've forgotten it, but are you really 18 years old?
Was it possible for him to grow such a beard when Garith was only 18?
Although it's not as much as I have, but you've also grown a lot.
But you've grown a shit ton.
I could tell from holding your hand just how much you've trained your body during these past 4 years. However, that still isn't enough. This is our family's revolutionary muscle growth agent. I brought some here for you.
Don't need it.
Why not? Lord Gerhard's weight loss and muscle growth are all thanks to receiving help from our family. Weren't you aware of that already?
Now that you've brought it up, please stop trying to send me those strange drugs through my father. So why did you ask to meet? You can't have come all this way to Aroth just to try and force that drug of yours onto me.
Remember what I told you a long time ago? Our family's revolutionary muscle growth agent was created by a famous alchemist of Aroth. However, now that my body has grown, the current mixture can no longer meet my requirements. Do you know anything about Bolero Street?
I've heard of it.
It was the place where that spoiled bastard Iode went to play around.
I've heard rumors that the testicles of a giant will be revealed at the latest auction.
What?
A giant's testicles!
Why do you want to buy a fucking thing like that?
Weren't you aware? The testicles of a giant have great magical value. Let's go there together. Although I've brought a lot of money, it still might not be enough to win the bid.
So you want me to lend you money?
Garith got on his knees and shouted,
I need to buy the balls, I swear on my name, then I'll pay you back with interest.
For fuck's sake, get up. You are making a scene.
Apart from the giant's testicles, I've heard that many other items will be revealed.
Oh, is that so?
Aren't you at all interested in it? Then again, you do have Winiad already, so you probably can't lower yourself to look at ordinary weapons.
There is someplace else in Bolero Street that interests me.
Eugene was certain that Iode would be heading to Bolero Street on the night of the next full moon. Since he already seemed to be suffering from nervous anxiety due to his succubus addiction, it was obvious that Iode didn't have the strength of will to overcome the withdrawal symptoms. Bolero Street only opened on the night of the full moon. The next full moon would be in 1 week. As soon as he had returned to the Red Tower of Magic, he received a summons from Larian. Since he intended to ask about Iode, this worked out perfectly for Eugene.
To start with, please feel free to take a seat.
May I ask why I was summoned?
First of all, please take a look at this.
A letter of recommendation? It's for Acran? No way.
Even Eugene was familiar with that name. The prestigious Royal Library had already been famous 300 years ago. It was the place where the essence of Aroth's prided magic was stored.
I think this is too much of an honor for me to accept at the moment.
Although Eugene wanted to jump into the air and cheer in joy, for now he decided to hold back and check the situation.
I don't share your thoughts. Instead, I believe that now is exactly the right time for you to enter Acran, Eugene. Since you haven't ventured deeply into learning magic, you still have a lot of possibilities lying ahead of you. There are many exceptional magical books in Acran.
In the halls of Acran, ancient magic passed down from the mythical era was stored along with the writings of the sages, whose names had received the highest of acclaims throughout Aroth's long history.
Does Acran also have books written by Lady Sienna?
Of course it does. Although there are books authored by Sienna in both the Red Tower of Magic and the Green Tower of Magic, one of the original 3 volumes of Witchcraft, which Sienna wrote in her later years, is stored in Acran. Witchcraft was considered one of the most significant series of books in all of Aratha's history. The wise Sienna had summed up all of her magical knowledge and divided the essence of her wisdom into these 3 volumes. When I first read the first volume of Witchcraft, I realized that all the magic that I had learned in my life up until that moment was all just child's play. Although I can't guarantee that this letter of recommendation can be exchanged for an entry pass into Acran, I first wanted to hear your opinion, Eugene. Are you alright with me submitting a letter of recommendation on your behalf?
Of course, it's fine with me, you bastard. Why ask such an obvious question? That would be the best outcome.
Of course, that's fine with me. However, I'm still a bit concerned that my inadequacies will cause trouble for the Tower Master.
Cause trouble, you say? Haha, don't worry about that. Something like this won't cause me any trouble at all.
Hopefully he won't change his mind if I ask him something that might upset him.
Master Larian, I have something that I need to talk to you about concerning my older brother, Iode. From the first day I came to Aroth, Iode hasn't been focusing on practicing magic, and is instead going into some shady street to partake in the nightlife.
As expected, Larian was already aware of Iode's misdeeds, Eugene thought.
I'm not sure how to put it into words. I've even warned him a few times. But I've been unable to prevent Iode from indulging in that debauchery. Succubi are a famous breed of night demons. In the past, before Helmuth was opened up, many people had died because the succubi drained all their life force. However, with the opening up of Helmuth, the attitudes of the demon kings and their demon folk subjects underwent a lot of changes. The same goes for the succubi. While they still absorb life force, they don't kill people like they used to. It has been strictly forbidden by the Queen of the Night Demons who resides in Helmuth.
That still doesn't make my brother's lustful affairs appropriate.
Yes, you're right, of course. Please have a little sympathy for Iode.
Huh?
4 years ago, Iode came to Arath with a lot of expectations, but unfortunately, Iode's talent failed to live up to his own hopes and expectations. Iode experienced a lot of setbacks. The magic mages and I did our best to help Iode overcome the frustration from these setbacks, but unfortunately, it didn't go so well. Moreover, with his status, Iode couldn't help but be weighed down by many expectations. Wouldn't it be better to give him some time to catch his breath? That's what we thought at the time. It was a way for him not to have a breakdown.
Eugene knew just how high-strung Tanis was and well aware of how sly Ancilla could be. Sion and Ciel had been born with both talent and ambition. Those two wished to become the next patriarch because they wanted to meet the expectations of those around them and also fulfill their own desires, which made Iode's mom furious with him. Upon having his hopes for Arath betrayed, Iode had decided not to return to the main estate, probably because he felt it was still better to live in Arath than to return to that suffocating main estate. Although Eugene understood that Iode's situation was pitiful, getting involved with a succubus was going too far. Demon folk, who had changed their attitudes and put smiles on their faces, were still demon folk. They would never be able to peacefully coexist with humans. No. Hamel was all too aware of this fact.
I'll need to take a look personally.
Why do we have to use transformation magic?
It would be bad for the name of Lionheart if its descendants were to be seen in an illegal alley.
What's that ringing sound?
Eugene had bought this communication terminal to keep in touch with an accomplice who was somewhere down this long and shady Bolero street.
Have you arrived, sir?
How did you know?
The max range of this terminal's connection is about the same as the length of Bolero Street. I knew you were here when the signal came in. I will call you once I see Iode.
Iode might also be using transformation magic. How will you find him?
There's no need for that concern. Iode doesn't use transformation magic. I've heard that he wears the same robe every time he goes there.
He is a crazy fool.
Iode seemed to be enjoying the attention he received from secretly revealing his identity. If he was my son, I'd beat him up to get him to fix his bad habits.
What was that all about? You seem upset.
Like I said, I have business to do here, so let's go for the auction for now.
As they entered the auction house, they were informed, it is forbidden to intrude into other guests' rooms, and any conversation should be kept between the two of you. Although Bolero Street held more than a few auction houses, all auction houses shared the same rule of keeping the bidding private. Everyone was guided to a different room, keeping the bidding anonymous.
To start bidding, press the blue button. To increase your bid, press the gold button. And for assistance, press the red button.
I thought you wouldn't be interested in spectating the auction.
I need to do something to pass some time, and I'm a little curious about what might come out.
On this truly beautiful night of the full moon, we thank you for finding your way to our auction house. Our auction house mainly deals in rare magical materials sourced from Helmuth. Our first item is the Horn of the Valarex. Let's start the bidding at 10 million sales. The fruit of a Proscia, the roots of a Mandragora, the flower buds of a Uzarak. Oh my, there's even a living Tura spider. This little guy's poison.
Are you sure that the giant's testicles will come out tonight?
It will come out. I heard it would be in the auction tonight.
The next item is a metal object made from an unappraisable mineral. Our auction has been unable to see through the true value of this material, but perhaps one of the guests visiting us today may have some insight into this metal object's true value. This metal object was found in Helmuth's Khazard Hills. If it's placed in moonlight, it gives off an extremely beautiful light. It might be a good option as an ornament to place by your bedroom window, as it shines quite beautifully under the light of the moon. We will start the bidding at 1 million sales.
Eugene immediately pressed the button.
Eugene?
Would you like to place a bid?
1 million sales.
Eugene called out without any hesitation. He knew what that piece of metal was. A dim blade that barely shone when out of the moonlight. Destruction in the form of a sword that had been erased from history. The Moonlight Sword.
Why did you bid on such a useless item?
Vermouth had wielded numerous weapons in his life, and among them, there were quite a few powerful relics capable of turning the world on its head. I was right. This was definitely a fragment of the Moonlight Sword. But how on earth did a fragment of the Moonlight Sword end up in this auction house? The Khazard Hills. The place where this fragment had been found was further proof of its true identity. They had discovered a dungeon that had been hidden deep underground. They had explored the dungeon and found the Moonlight Sword at its very heart. The only possibility that I can think of is that, as Vermouth was leaving Helmuth, he took the Moonlight Sword back to its original resting place and sealed it there. Maybe Vermouth couldn't have felt reassured by just sealing such a dangerous sword, and instead destroyed it. The fragment of the Moonlight Sword was perfectly still. It didn't give off any sense of danger. Well, if it had shown off even a trace of the terrible power that it had held 300 years ago, it wouldn't have been left on auction for so long without any bidders.
So Eugene, Sir Iode has arrived.
I'm leaving now.
Don't you want to keep watching?
I don't. Before I go, I'll leave my card with you, so you can bid for the item you want. Where do I need to go?
If you head up to the north end of the street, you will be able to find a store called Rafflesia. That's where you need to go.
Are you here for our services?
Since his reincarnation, this was his first time encountering a demon folk. If he was still in his previous life, the demon would already have been dead before their eyes had even met, but Eugene didn't reveal a single trace of his murderous intent.
The base entrance fee is 2 million sales. After that, any further cost is calculated according to the contents and length of your requested dream. Would you still like to enter?
Without replying, Eugene pulled out his wallet and handed the demon 2 checks.
Please enjoy your time here.
So where is Iode now? Is he already caught in his dreams? Eugene thought.
Where do we get our dreams?
It seems like you're in a rush. What a cute guest. Is this your first time visiting our store? Why don't we get some drinks first? If you drink something beforehand, it relaxes your body and allows you to fall into a deeper state of sleep. Don't be shy and tell me everything. We need you to be precise with your desires if you want to enjoy your best dream experience.
I don't feel comfortable saying anything yet. Let's go elsewhere.
Aha. Are you feeling embarrassed to say anything up here? You don't need to worry about that, but in that case, shall we head down to the bedrooms now?
It's a bit scary. It's actually my first time doing something like this.
There's no need for concern. Although we do drain a bit of life force, it's only to the extent that you'll feel a little tired the next day.
So this is the place where the humans come to enjoy themselves. I guess I got the info I needed.
I've decided to go back and sleep in my own bed, so I'll leave after paying the bill for the drinks. You don't need to give me any change.
Oh, well, fine then.
Taking out a check for 1 million sales from his wallet, Eugene handed it to the succubus. Even though this amount confused the succubus, she still accepted the money.
Goodbye then. Next time, I'll be sure to take care of you. My name is...
There's no need for that. Where do I need to go to get out of here?
Allow me to show you the way.
Did you have a pleasant dream?
Bring me the best food you have. I want extra servings of meat.
Yes, sir.
There's the bastard.